Thank you so much. Happy to be here this afternoon and for the opportunity to present to you Shekel Brainweigh, an Israeli company listed on the Australian Stock Exchange in November 2018. So it's the first time for us to actually present the TechKnow, and happy to be here. Shekel is in the business of advanced weighing technology. What it means in practical terms is that for the last 25, 30 years, they have invested in those devices. These devices, they are smart sensors, which are called load cells, and very few companies in the world engaged in the development and understanding of those sensors. And when you put pressures to these sensors, they convert an electronic signal into a weight. And what Shekel did in the last few years is create a very sophisticated, smart, fast, and accurate scales. And that's the core understanding of this company in understanding those sensors and creating a very smart sensors. The business has been a business for the last 25 years. This year, it's been recording a revenue of 18.7 million US. With an 8.3 million as a gross profit. And we'll talk more about what the business does. But what was exciting in the last few years is that 4 years ago, management realized advancement in artificial intelligence and big data analytics. These were mainly done in Israel and other parts of the world. But when they took their core understanding of those devices, of these sensors, and combined it with advanced mathematics and algorithm and the ability to process a lot of data, that brings us to the next growth engine of the company, which we're going to talk about, but that's the exciting part of a new suite of products which have brought to the market end of last year, and we see beginning of a strong traction in 2019. And maybe the last bullet on the important stuff is to understand that once you collect a lot of data, and you collect a lot of data from retail predominantly, your ability to apply later business intelligence algorithm and provide valuable information on how we shop, why we shop the way we do, why we stop on an aisle, is something which is very valuable to the autonomous retail in the future. Tech companies is about people. We have about 170 people in the company, 100 of them in the assembly and development facilities in Israel, 60 in China in the manufacturing facility, and the rest of us are scattered around the world, and I'm the lucky one in Australia. Been here for the last 7 years. Together with our management team, which include Dave Sharma as the chairman of the company. Dave is a friend and has been the Australian ambassador to Israel over 4 years, returned back to Australia about 1.5 years ago, and now joined the company as a chairman. Yoram Ben Porat is a known Israeli entrepreneur, a serial entrepreneur, if you will, founded Noor early in the 90s, listed it on NASDAQ, and later sold it to HP. So a very known entrepreneur. Barak Nir, who is the CFO with a lot of knowledge, and he sits with us today in the table, and many others. What it means in practical terms, our legacy business is we take those sensors, we create a very accurate weigh systems, and they go into two market segments, one being the retail, and what you see here is a point of sale of self-checkout. 35,000 units of these were sold last year. So 35,000 units went to companies like Toshiba, Fujitsu, all blue chip companies as an OEM device. And they keep on buying. Those markets grow. There's going to be more self-checkout next year than it's been last year. And we enjoy the growth of the self-checkout. And these are our main clients on this segment. The reason they buy us is because we are much faster in making and finding the weight and much more accurate. And these are the markets that they serve. So we would sell to people like Toshiba and Fujitsu, and they in turn will sell it to Walmart and to Home Depot and to other large retail stores. The next segment, the other segment that the business went into on the legacy products has been the healthcare, and we've been putting those weights into GE Healthcare as the main client. And about 10,000 of these units were sold last year. And they're placed in an incubator and warmers of newborn. So early babies, there needs to be in incubators. That's where the weights are going, alongside some other products which you see there, which are sold directly to hospitals and long-term cares and so on. That business, which is our legacy business, what we've been doing in the last 10, 15 years, is, like I said, about $19 million US in 2018, with a nice profit and growing. What happened 4 years ago when we took the money of the business, the profit of the business, took no debt and invested all in new R&D. What the new guys that came into the company said, the algorithmic people said, if you're going to give me 4 of these sensors that normally goes on a surface, and for our sake of conversation, this surface would be a shelf of a supermarket. If you just give me those 4 sensors, instead of just averaging one weight, like putting the bananas on a scale, if we apply some manipulation, we're able to divide this shelf into a grid. And the grid would be 1 centimeter by 1 centimeter grid. And on each of these centimeters will tell you the weight in a 1 gram resolution. So effectively, that means we know that this is 56 grams and this is 32 grams, and we know exactly where. This is really important because if you took a pasta sauce from the shelf, and this is a 6 centimeters pasta sauce that weighs 423 grams, and you took it off the shelf, we know instantly. If you place it somewhere else, we know. There are differences between Coke and Coke Zero that can be defined as a difference. So the ability to actually collect real-time inventory from shelves is something which is really important to retail. It's important because they know what comes into the warehouse. They know in some kind of a delay what goes off the point of sale, but the store manager doesn't really know if somebody took all the Coke Zero because he had a party. And that's why they send a lot of people in the aisles to check and dealing with overstocking or understocking. So the technology attracted the attention of Intel and others, and a major retail in the US, and we started a pilot which is going very successfully. In the interest of time, we'll skip it. I think this is basically the core technology, the core new technology, the ability to look at any surface and define it to a very low level and collect data from it. Now, there's a lot of application for this. One of the most interesting one I heard only recently is that elderly people have a problem. They walk in a way, not because of their muscle, but because of their hip. We found out that if you let a person stand on a surface, it would actually get you a graph that tells your posture. And you can actually train the hip using exactly this technology of how your posture on a scale behave. But we haven't done much with it yet. It's for the future. Like I said, what we're focusing on the retail side. Until retail and large players like Walmart and others in the world will take major decisions about the technology, the company decided to develop its own autonomous store. This is an exciting machine called Innovendi. If you will, a smart vending machine. So you know how you go to vending machines and you want to take a Coke and you press the button and the Coke falls and this motors and then there's a chocolate bar that you take. That's okay. But what Innovendi does is actually allow you as a user to come swipe your business card, your credit card, and then a door opens. It looks exactly like your fridge at your house. And then you start picking up milk and cheese and other products, and you just close the door and you walk. This concept actually changed psychic of buyers. And about 8 months ago, Tnuva, which is the largest CPG in Israel, owned by Bryfood, took 8 machines and just placed them in some train stations, in offices, building offices. And what they found out after only a few months of operation is that each machine will have a turnaround of $1 million Aussie per machine per year. Just because the psychic of the people is you open a door and you take a milk and you want to take a cheese as well. And they start filling up the machine twice a day instead of every 3 days, just because it's an easier way to shop. And it's also a much cheaper machine than your regular vending machine because it doesn't have all these motors and all these moving parts. It's simply a talking shelves. That's how we know what you take. And we're very excited to report to the ASX only a month and a half ago, Tnuva has placed an order of 1,200 machines to be deployed in the next 7 years. The first 50 are going to be deployed in the end of April. Then we absolutely have to fill up some orders from the UK and France. And then we're hoping to get a few machines in Australia. Hopefully towards the end of June, we'll have first machines in Australia. This is a short video. I apologize for the quality of the video, the last part of it. I just did it myself because the machines were installed just a week and a half ago. This is a site in Israel from a week and a half ago. I couldn't even edit the Hebrew.
Hi, and welcome to Shekel Brainweigh here in Tel Aviv, Israel. I'd like to introduce you to one of our latest solutions for the micro market, InnoVendi, the smart vending machine. This is how it works. You can either use your cell phone or your credit card. If I use my cell phone, I attach it here to the sensor, or if I use my card, I swipe it here. Once I do that, the door will open, and now I can choose whatever products I want. I'm going to take one of these, and one of these. All the products that I chose show here on the screen. If I regret at any stage, I can put them back. The changes will also show on the screen. Once I close the door, the transaction is made, and I'll be shown the sum that I was charged.
That's real machines now in Israel, so I'm sorry about the Hebrew. As you see, the products show on the menu, and every product she'll take is going to have a point in it that tells her what she's taking.
לקחת 2 קוטג' וחלב, נכון?
כן, איפה זה רשום?
גם פה וגם עכשיו.
All right, that's just a quick demo of what the machine is doing. The interesting thing is that we went originally to the vending machine operators because we thought that's going to be the best go-to-market. Let's go to them because they know how to service these machines, and they actually do like it. But we were really pleasantly surprised to find out that a CPG, a dairy farmer, dairy company, took it first, and in very large numbers. Now think about it. It's almost like A2 milk saying to, I'm not going to say any name of a big retail, I don't know if he's in the room, but saying to him, we're going to go head to head in a sense. If I'm, instead of competing for your shelf place and your brand, I'm actually going to place my machines in retail, in trains, in offices, and I'm going to fill them up myself. So instead of selling a milk to the retail for $1, I'll sell it for $2.50 directly to the client. And we were very surprised to see that that's one direction to take, and that was very successful with Tnuva. The other product, which is, like I said, is the Bay, is the ability to actually track products on retail. It's a longer process. We are in the completion of the first phase at a very large retail in the US. They love it. It takes time because they eventually want to maybe include other technologies in the pictures, like cameras, to identify the consumer. We are focusing on the products. There's other ways to look at the consumer. So that's what we really achieved, 1,200 InnoVendi machines on the new products, a major contract with Medix, a shelf manufacturer that will actually take us to market. Maybe one last point about Intel. Intel started to compete against Amazon Go. They put their own team of companies, HP, Dell, Verifone, and invited Shekel. We said, how come you invite a small company from Israel? And they say, you're the only one who has the technology to actually real-time collect inventory from shelves. Where we're going, and that's the last slide, getting a lot more business on the InnoVendi, grow our legacy business of the way, and basically hopefully become also a data company with the added value of the data that we collect. Thank you so much.